Hello, everyone. Welcome to Get in the Garage.
We're a music podcast.
For music lovers.
Welcome. Yeah, here. We're fine.
I like your double welcome.
Huh?
I like your double welcome.
Thank you.
Very welcoming.
Very, very welcoming. Yeah, baby. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Get in the Garage. I am Mike here.
I'm Luke.
I'm Jeff.
And we've got a lot of fun things to talk about on this episode. So it's Christmas in June, so to speak.
Okay.
You know, one
the
of
gift that always gives.
the gifts that always keeps on giving.
I've heard Mariah Carey has the hard hand of the law down on her.
Yeah, I think she'll win though.
I think
she'll fight the law and she'll win.
I heard the man's been bringing her down. You know, so what's been going on with that?
Mariah Carey was recently sued for copyright infringement for her Christmas classic "All I Want for Christmas Is You" by a man named Andy Stone, who performs under the stage name Vince Vance and the Valiants, which is basically like a not so fun like B-52 style band. It seems like.
Yeah. The B-50 booze.
Yeah.
If you could just suck all the fun out of that band.
Yeah. Which
please.
is all that band is.
It's not really based on anything really valid anyway.
song-
Too. It's just for the song
It's
title.
a title, same title.
Oh my God! Did you see the picture of it?
Yeah,
I'm
of course
sorry.
it did. Yeah.
It's clown.
Maniac.
What was his original name?
Andy Stone.
Andy Stone.
The band is Vance Valiant or something.
Andy
Whatever I
Stone's
just said.
already a great stage name.
No,
Andy.
no.
Yeah.
Andy Stone.
Andy Stone.
But he's suing $20 million because he wrote a song in the mid 80s called "All I Want for Christmas Is You," and he just wants some of that fucking cash cow money
He wants that cheddar.
because
man.
Mariah Carey is making millions of dollars every year from that hitting #1 every single Christmas season. I listened to his song, and it's like, not for nothing, man, but if you're going to be throwing around lawsuits, like that song he wrote sounds like every fucking other Christmas song, which is the problem with Christmas songs. They all kind of sound the same.
Yeah, because it's
They're
talking
all
about
one,
like
1, 6, 4, 5 chord
Yeah.
patterns. They're all like, and it's like, okay, man, whatever. It sounds obviously nothing like Mariah Carey's actual song, but it's based in that simple old rock and roll chord pattern of every song sounds like that. So
There are so many songs with the same song title anyway, though. Like,
Right.
already, I can think of like a million. Other ones are just referencing the song anyway,
right.
you know?
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think it's gonna hold up.
No, he just wants his name in the press, and he wants $100,000 of the $20 million he's asking for, basically. Like, let's be real. Like, he wants to buy some new wigs,
Well, you know, I think now that
new leopard print
now that-
suits.
I can't believe they didn't even like shush him off money. Like Mariah Carey has shush off money,
yeah.
Yeah, but
you know?
I mean, all
can't set a
publicity is good
precedence,
publicity, I
though.
suppose.
Mariah Carey, if you would like to give me money, we'll never say anything about you ever again.
Ripping our Christmas song off.
yeah.
This is Luke.
This has been.
You know how to get to me.
Yeah, so I just think it's a meritless thing, and it's
Yeah.
whatever.
It's just bizarre. You know, it's like, who cares? Like, what? I don't know.
When it comes down to copyright infringement in music, this isn't the same correlation, but when the blurred line thing, when Marvin Gaye's estate won that suit because he replicated a vibe or an aura or a feel of a song, and it's like, well, like all music is trying to be other music basically, and like
Blurred Lines definitely shared a bass line though. The don't.
oh yeah,
Don't.
but Pharrell was very clear and like, well, obviously I know Got to Give It Up, and I wanted that type of a song.
Right.
But I didn't like steal the melody or the chords or
It's a very different
It's
thing,
like-
but I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if it's close enough to make you go, meh, you know. But
Yeah.
like even on
Yeah.
the Silk Sonic one, like there's a Jackson's rip that
Right,
I noticed
right.
that's like so obscure that like you know what I mean. Like nobody's listening
Yeah.
to like a mid 1976 Jackson's record and
Mm-hmm.
being like, oh, except
yeah.
you know, I was like, oh,
In general, like every R&B song sounds like another R&B song
Yeah.
in a large scale. Every garage rock song sounds like
Sounds-
every
yeah.
other garage rock song. Every stoner metal song sounds like every stoner metal song. There are just like certain genres where it's like you become more of a victim to that type of songwriting. But this is like, you can go watch the video. I strongly encourage it. Like I said, it's like a whack B-52s.
Yeah.
It's a fine song, but it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound anything like Mariah Carey's song.
My thing
in
is
any
like,
way.
why are you waiting 28 years?
Because
you know what I mean?
it's like a stock. That
It
song
keeps
is
going up.
yeah.
It
Yeah, I
keeps,
suppose
it keeps
so.
getting more
That
like
song is a monster.
Well, and then it said that like
It-
who was it? Michael Bublé covered it, and then who else covered
Did he?
it? So like, the royalties just keep coming in. Like they just keep pouring in because every version of it, you know, is just raking in all this cash. So I mean, I guess, but it's like, all right, man.
Before we leave topic, how do we feel about the Sam Smith Tom Petty lawsuit?
Because
Oh.
I'm not the only one was similar to Free Falling. Is that what it's supposed to be?
No, won't back down.
Won't back down, yeah.
I don't even remember that.
See that one
yeah.
for me, that one I was like, that it's like kind of a rip on the melody. It's kind of a rip on like the idea of it.
But it's like every song.
But it's hard.
Ever
I don't know. See,
is
like I
derivative
get
of something.
I
Right.
get like
You know?
I get like whatever with it. But like it's a wash at some point. But also it's like I don't know. And
Listen to any metal song.
if none of these people are
And you're like,
struggling,
everyone ripped
then
everybody off.
I don't care really. So
Yeah, I don't know. I
If
mean,
you
is
need the
Vince
dough,
Vaughn
though, I might
struggling
care.
though? He's struggling to find a
like
good barber.
what I'm saying
from
is
what
like
I
Tom
see.
Yeah.
Tom Petty didn't need the money.
Right, and that song is like it's a 4-5-1.
Yeah, and it's like
4-5-1, and the melody has like a couple notes that are the same, but not really.
And before we leave the topic too, Tom Petty didn't sue the Strokes for rewriting American Girl as last night, and like
Sure.
it's the same, like
Yeah.
even the double guitar doing in the intro.
Yeah,
you
it's-
gonna do?
it's
What are you gonna
it's-
do? Let
it's
us know
a-
what you think.
Yeah.
Which song's better? Mariah Carey's. Clearly.
It's Mariah Carey. Before we leave too, I know
Yeah.
I love that new. I don't know who does it, but whoever does the Mariah Carey, I've been hearing it on 107.7 in the morning. It's like the Mariah Carey mix of fantasy. It's like a new like mix of it, and they use the Tom Tom Club. It's like a double on the Tom Tom Club sample.
Oh, really?
It's cool.
Oh, check it.
It's
All
cool.
right, I'll have to check that
I
out.
don't know who
haven't
does
heard
it.
that
If you
yet.
know who does that fantasy song, it's on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
Right on. All right. Well, moving along, our best regards to the Mariah Carey estate. Hopefully, she comes out on top on that lawsuit. So recently, I believe it was June 7th, Rolling Stone released the 200 greatest hip hop albums of all time. Of all time. We're not going to obviously cover all 200 of those.
Number 199.
But I figured we could at least go up maybe the top 10, maybe bleed into the top 20 just a touch here. So number one, right, for me, it's the Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die, released in 1994. We've talked about it before. We talked about it with the First Fill podcast, audio only podcast that we have. Excuse me. And I think it's one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time. The thing is that, Rolling Stone credits it to being like, it says, Ready to Die marked the precise moment when hip hop's golden age transitioned into its modern age, the height of New York hip hop, and the sound of the greatest rapper of all time at the absolute top of his powers. And I get that, but it's also kind of like, do you think that there's this thing that happens? Because you see it a lot with like the greatest guitar players of all time, like all these lists. It almost seems like the people who have passed away kind of are just like guaranteed to be like top 10 within the top 10.
It makes sense though, because we have what we have, and they can't spend 35 years making shitty Eric Clapton records.
I suppose so.
Like
Hold slow hand.
like,
But I know what you're saying, though.
and when
I
you
know
get
what
in
you're saying.
particulars of ranks and lists, and it's like, well, is it 1 or should it be number 4? Or should it be number 8? It's like,
Yeah.
is it in the conversation? That's the point. So I think makes sense to be up there.
I think the real like contentious thing from like the outside rap world view would be like that Tupac was not in the top 10 and
No, he
Biggie
was not.
is number 1.
Yeah, but what's the best Tupac album?
All Eyes on Me.
And it's in the top 20.
It's in the top. It made the top 20.
And All Eyes on Me is a double album, and there's
28
a lot
songs.
of extra.
Yeah,
It's not a bad album. There's no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's bad songs, but it's a bloated double album.
yeah. I mean,
Can we read the top 10?
Yeah.
Let's read it down.
Number 1, Ready
Give
to
it to
Die,
us.
Notorious B.I.G. Number 2, Stankonia by Outkast. Number 3, The Blueprint by Jay-Z. Number 4, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back by Public Enemy. Number 5, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. 6, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. 7, Missy So Addictive by Missy Elliott. 8, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers by the Wu-Tang Clan. 9, The Low End Theory by A Tribe Called Quest. And 10, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill.
Yeah, I think that's a strong top 10.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
all in the conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think
With one exception.
What's that?
That Missy Elliott album. I love Missy Elliott.
I don't think it belonged to...
Can any of you even name 2 songs on that album?
No.
Get Your Freak On.
Which is one.
Yeah, I knew the... And,
that's pretty
is the
much
other,
it.
Is Super Duper Fly on there?
Nope, that's
No.
her first album. This
See?
is her third album. The other hit on it was 1 Minute Man, which is her... It's singing, which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm into it. She's a great singer, too. But that album had 2 hit songs, and even the second hit song, most people don't recall. So
See, for me,
it's a cool vibe. Cool
that should have been
tracks and stuff.
Lauryn Hill. I think
Flipped
Lauryn
up
Hill
higher, sure.
Yeah, I think Lauryn Hill deserved the number 7 spot.
Sure.
If we're talking, female artists for female artists,
Yeah,
I
think
suppose.
I think Missy Elliott goes in their list because of the like looking back on it, how much influence she had, because she was really celebrated and really hot for the time that she was here. But her recording music
I like how
career,
we talked about her like she's dead.
well, her recording music career, how long did Missy Elliott make music?
I'm going to guess like 7 years.
12 maybe.
9 years.
That
Oh,
was close.
And Missy Elliott, how old is Missy Elliott now? She hasn't made an album in
44.
15 years.
She's 44.
She's only 50 years old.
That was close.
yeah.
But she hasn't made an album since I think it was 2005.
Yeah, that's the. Is it worth it? Let me work it.
The album after, it's the one with the Sierra song.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that song either, but I remember watching it on TRL.
Big song, yeah, whatever that song is.
Oh my God, what is the name of that
Come
song?
on.
All right, well, look it up.
But
I got it.
We'll
but
do some reconnaissance. here.
it's an album of Timbaland beats and it's really futuristic and cool sounding, but it's like
Lose Control.
lose control. Music makes
make
you
you
lose control. Right. But I think it's a representation thing, which is cool. Applaud, women in hip hop, all that stuff. It's good stuff. And I think the Missy Elliott album is more influential on female artists than I may know, because I'm not a female hip hop artist.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that all the Nicki Minaj's and beyond generation
Right.
loved Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. But as an album, as like hip hop history, I think you could pull any hip hop fan off the street and they couldn't name 3 songs off that album.
Yeah. It's
I,
just
uh,
Whereas all the
what is
rest in the top
basis,
10, all the rest in the top 10 are like, I mean,
Ubiquitous.
yeah, and I'm very familiar with those, and I could name half of the tracks on every album.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
one missing, in my opinion, a very strong one missing. It's listed number 24 on the list, and that's Nas's Illmatic,
Thank you.
because
Thank you.
as a high point of the art form, and hip hop music is about the culture of the popularity of the songs and all that as well, but not Illmatic is still off-cited of like, this is one of the greatest. So at number 24, is it still one of the greatest? Sure, but to me that should be at least in the top 15,
Yeah.
because did it have radio hits? No, but does it have songs people know? New York State of Mind, Halftime, One Love, like there's still a bunch of songs people know.
And like in contrast, and this isn't hating on Cardi B, but Cardi B's number 16, but Nas is number 24. It's like I mean,
And I think
Yeah.
that's a clickbait thing, because
Yeah.
that Cardi B album is really, really good. I think it is one of the best
Yeah,
hip hop
and that's
albums
what I'm saying,
in the
like,
past decade. And
we're not shitting on Cardi B.
I think
by
it's.
any means.
I think I didn't look at the full 200, but it's probably one of the newest that is on that list. That came out in 2018, I think.
Yeah.
And when it came out that year, it was number 1 on Rolling Stone's year-end list. It was number 1 on like Spin Magazine's year-end list. It was number 1 on a bunch, the Source or Double XL or whatever. And so I think that was kind of like, well, let's put it really high, get a conversation started, get people looking at this list a lot more, like get some eyeballs on it.
Yeah.
It's like,
even to that point,
I'd put it at 30
Nicki-
maybe, but I don't know.
Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday 2010 is at 31 on the list, which is also
understandable.
pretty high up on the list
yeah,
for like it's a 10-year-old album, but you know what I mean for that
Yeah.
kind of style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good mix, that top 10 of what's the oldest on that top 10? It would be Takes a Nation of Millions.
Takes a Nation.
Oh, yep.
Which is like another thing in the I think it was 2020 that Rolling Stone did their reissue of the 500 greatest albums, 500 greatest songs, all that stuff. And It Takes a Nation of Millions
that
was like number 4
yeah.
on the list
Yeah.
of greatest albums of all time. So it's understandable that they put it this high.
It almost doesn't make sense though, because if you're going by like best rap record of all time and it's on the 500 greatest albums of all time, it should always get the
should
number
be the
one
same number.
It should get,
Right.
or it should get the
Right.
number 1 spot,
Right.
seeing that no hip hop album preceded it on the
Right.
list.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know who does the voting or whatever.
It's a different list. It's probably like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
whole different vote thing. But
Yeah.
also what I was shocked at too, seeing that like maybe it was because of this, but the Eminem controversy thing that had been going on lately. That Eminem, I thought Eminem was going to be for sure in the top 10. There had to have been an Eminem album because it was huge.
I thought it'd be top 20. I didn't think they'd put him top 10.
I thought,
But I think Marshall Mathers was like
it was close. It was like
28 or something.
Yeah,
it was pretty high.
it was up
Yeah,
there.
I'm looking right now.
High
I'll
meaning
find
like
it.
not as low
Yeah.
of a number as I expected.
25, number 25.
That's what I thought. Marshall Mathers LP would be at least. I thought it would be like 11. 12. I thought it would be like
Yeah.
close.
And if you're going by numbers and impact, you can make an argument that it should be up there.
Yeah, and it's not that like I'm like this is the hip hop top 10. I could never make that list.
Right.
But on the other hand, I was like I was shocked because I was like as far as like hip hop albums, I think were like giant and huge, and I mean that was
Yeah.
like one. I also thought Get Rich or Die Trying would be a little bit. I thought.
Oh yeah, and that was
yeah.
that was in the 30s maybe or 40s.
Yeah. I mean, DMX, It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Yeah.
That was number 22.
Yeah.
Deuce.
So, I mean,
There what was one that was, I would say, quote unquote surprising. I only looked at the top 10 because I were talking about Queen Latifah's was pretty high.
yeah.
That was like 18.
yeah. Was it?
I think it's a Queen Latifah. I think it's Queen Latifah, and she's like dressed.
Lil Kim is number 19.
Okay, so Latifah might be
little
around there
bit.
then. But it's an album where she's like standing, like, and she looks kind of how like Janet Jackson looked with the all black outfit and like a black hat.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. You know what was surprising for me was the fact that Dr. Dre's The Chronic was at number 40, but Dr. Dre 2001 was number 13?
Yeah, that was strange for me too.
That was a weird one
I
for
did
me too,
notice that
because
when
I
was
feel
going
like
through it.
I feel like The Chronic,
For sure.
the Chronic was like, for me, it's just like that is
It's
the
more revered.
iconic. That's the iconic, like West Coast sound album. That's like Dre at his best, and to put 2001 to rank that higher in that way, to me it was just kind of like, it kind of made me
I
scratch
think it's
my head.
2022, and you can't put those kind of albums that high in these lists anymore because it is very inflammatory and very fucking terrible
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
content.
to be
Also,
fair,
to note
there's a
too-
lot of misogyny in that
Yeah.
record. Like, there's a
Like
lot.
they're
of,
not going to put that in the top 10 because
They don't even mention like because like the crazy like misogyny that's on the record. They don't mention it in the review. They just say like draft over dense P funk beats. This
Yeah,
stoner
right.
classic.
Yeah.
But Chance the Rapper too. Like before the Chronic was also interesting because I was like, oh okay.
I like that album though. Acid Rap. I got that when it was like on his Tumblr page or
That's
whatever
what I'm saying.
back in 2012.
I remember it
2013.
was like a huge record when that came out. That like I remember it very much like changing. It was like hip hop like was changed because of that. But at the same point, I was like going down the list and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I was like after the Chronic. Ooh, I was
What
like,
was the highest
interesting.
Drake one? Take Care.
Yeah, Take Care at number 11.
11, which I also thought was a bit like brazen out because I was like, wow, 11
Yeah,
Drake.
but
the,
that
for the
album,
past decade, that's the one that people talk about.
I mean, people literally like. I'm sure everybody's seen it at some point. That lady that got Drake tattooed on her forehead, like the word, the name Drake tattooed across her forehead. Like
I get
Drake
that.
fans are no joke, dude.
I get that, but even to the point where like when we were talking like hip hop with like between like Devin and oh my god,
Phil. Yeah.
Phil, sorry Phil, brain fog. But we were like having the contention between like albums we thought were like dope and shit. They were like there was big contention on like the Drake albums, which was interesting that it was
Yeah. Which Drake album did we talk about with Devin?
We
it
talked
wasn't
about the
Take
album.
Care.
I thought we
it
talked
was
about Take Care.
it was
It was
Take
Take
Care.
Care.
Yeah,
I
it
was like,
Take Care.
I listened to that.
Which me personally, I like 2 other Drake albums more, maybe.
Yeah.
But
That's the thing though, is like because when I was reading the list, I was trying to think about just this idea that's just like, some of these albums might seem like a curveball for me in the way that like, I always kind of feel like the founders should get more credit than they get. You know what I mean? But then like,
where's Slick Rick on this list?
Dude, you know what I mean though? Where's
The
Slick
Adventures
Rick?
of Slick Rick. Come on,
man.
Children's story.
Can I just fucking say the Sugar Hill collection
Nice.
compilation
Yeah.
was in the top. It was either in the top 40 or 20. It was
And
close.
Eric B and Rakim was 12 or
they
13
got,
or
right,
something.
so they got theirs, which is good. And then even like when you go up, you can kind of
Was
see
it
them
Run?
lumped
Was it
together.
Run DMC's
Run
first
DMC
or Raising Hell? I think it was their first. Was like 25 or something.
Was it? Because I thought like Raising Hell would have been like a
No,
little bit.
I think it's their self-titled was first.
Oh, I can't. I don't know. I don't see it. But
You
I
gotta
mean,
do a control search.
Your Mike's like,
no, Run
what?
it's 43.
That's
The self-titled Run DMC album was 43.
Yeah,
But then you also
and then
see
Raising
like
Hell
the Chronic was 40. The Carter 3 Lil Wayne was 39.
Mad
Raekwon was
Villainy
37.
was got really high. That was like 18, I think.
De La
Which-
Soul was at
yeah.
number 33.
The
but-
highest, I think the highest Beastie Boys was Paul's Boutique, which was 30.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah,
Which is
Mobb Deep, the infamous
their
Mobb
best
Deep was
record.
28. So and that's a huge hip hop album. So
Where's my KRS-One, dude? I don't know. It's somewhere. I don't even know if it's on the list. I didn't get through the whole list, but
Yeah,
I mean-
where's Snow on this list?
oh, he's on my number one. Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt was 26.
Yep.
I mean, I think The Blueprint was probably a bigger album, but I do love Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah.
Also, Jay-Z, can you put your music on streaming already, for the love of God? He's not on anything except
he's
for
on
the
Tidal.
Yeah, he's on the.
Oh, he was on Spotify for a long time.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, to be fair, I
he had
haven't
held
even,
out, and then he went.
No, is he? Yeah, he's on Spotify.
He's on Spotify.
Is he? Everything's on Spotify now? I
I
never bothered to look because I always
Right.
just assumed
It's
that.
been for the last 4 years or so.
Everything's on Spotify.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, cool.
Oh, I
Nice.
can't wait to listen to those little kids sing Hard Knock Life.
The Blueprint that's my favorite Jay-Z album. I think it's the best.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Jay-Z, Kanye West, I think was the first artist to have like 2 high on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Which because Yeezus was like in the teens.
Yeah, 17. Yep.
Surprising when we're talking about like history of hip hop, though, the College Dropout was like his 4th on the list. College Dropout is like in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah,
which is whatever.
I
Yeah.
thought that one would be like ranked before
Me too.
like the rest of them. I thought that one would have been like the higher one because it was kind of like the out the gate big
Yeah, I
change.
thought it would be second after Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah.
And To Pimp
Also,
a Butterfly being the first Kendrick one, understandable. I think it is going to be his.
yeah. I'm more of a Good Kid, Mad City guy myself. But
I mean, me personally, I like Damn the most,
yeah.
but that's also because it's not as sprawling as the other ones.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So let us know what you think in the comments, though. Tell us what you think. Do you think this top 10's good? Do you think this top 10's bad? Who would you switch out for?
Outkast at number 2. That's the coup for people like me.
Yeah, no, I saw
'cause
that
I
and I
love
thought of you
Outkast.
immediately. I was like, oh, Jeff's gonna be happy. At least
If
Outkast got
if
number
I had
2.
my way, what Outkast? Southern Playlist, Cadillac Music, Aquemini, AT Aliens, Aquemini, Stankonia, and The Love, whatever. So the first 4 though, me personally, all those 4 would be in the top 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just happy.
Unassailable, those first
But I mean,
four
because
albums.
Outkast though, that's what I was getting to was like, I think about it in like the purest way, where it's like, the founders of the genre should get the high rank and stuff. But then I thought about it like, okay, well, what kind of thing does this artist like set off, right? Like, Missy Elliott started a thing, and Outkast started a thing. Like Outkast is kind of like this iconic like Atlanta rap, movement thing that had happened. We already had New York, we already had California for the longest time, So I think Outkast, I agree with that one as number 2.
Interesting when you come to music history, because like if you asked artists in the 80s what they thought about rock and rollers of the late 50s, that's who their forefathers were. Now, if you look at that list, so many of these artists made albums in the late 90s, early 2000s. So like people like us, we think that the real era of hip hop was 90 to 94. Mm-hmm. But as time proceeds, it's like, the 25-year-olds now, they like the shit from 2000 more than the shit from 1991.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And you make this list in 20 more years, it's going to be a lot more of the artists from 2010 to 2020 being on that list.
Yeah.
Dude, my 11-year-old brother loves that. It isn't a rap song by any means, but the apple bottom jeans boots with the fur song, which is like, I'm like, my brother's like, I love this song.
Here's
I'm like, what?
Hip hop history. Sugar Hill Gang, Run DMC,
Apple
bottom jeans boots with the fur.
Who sings it? Who sings it? None of us know.
Who is that?
T-Pain, that's Flow Rida.
Is it Flo?
And T-Pain, I think.
Yeah. God bless T-Pain.
I think.
T-Pain's a
I
good
know
man.
it's Flow Rida.
He's a good
that.
man. Anyway, all right. Well,
No, you're not. No, it's
No?
It's this dude named Kevin Turk.
No.
I don't know.
Or is this a...
Is that a
Oh,
different?
maybe-
The
No,
song
it's a
is called
different-
the song is called Low by Flow Rida.
You're right. In T-Pain.
Oh.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Shorty got low.
Trust
low,
me,
low,
that song came out when I was like a
That's not-
freshman
I
in
thought that was
college.
Nelly. I don't know.
That's the soundtrack
Connected
to
I am.
bad decision making on a Friday night.
Yo, I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
realize Flo Rider's name was
From
Florida.
The more you know.
Flow
The
right.
more you call.
The F in the logo is the state.
Yeah, it's the state of Florida.
The panhandle, the old
club was
panhandle.
looking at it.
Jesus. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back.
And Shorty will get low.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Get in the Garage.
A music podcast.
I thought it was the.
No.
Yeah, what the fuck? You're
that's-
demoting us?
It's the after the
Yeah.
break.
Oh, was it the?
Yeah.
Oh man, I messed it up. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I thought I did it
Jesus.
the right way.
You need to train.
The-
You need to train whistle yourself.
Music podcast.
Oh, the conductor drove it off the rails. Your license has been revoked. So we wanted to do a quick coverage of a recent release, album-wise.
New Music Fridays. Oh,
new
what's going
music.
on? We have chair issues. We adjusted.
So this past Friday, Post Malone released, I'm not sure, his third album?
Fourth studio album.
Thank you. Called 12 Carat Toothache. 14 songs, 43 minutes long. What did we think about it?
Well, so Post Malone's been a hip hop guy for a couple years. He's usually rap, light rap. There is almost no rap on here at all. By him, I know he's been more of the hip hop dude, but there's no.
I would say he's hip hop
Rap
adjacent,
yeah.
but he's never rapped.
No,
Hip
but
Hop Anonymous.
Yeah,
if you will.
I'm saying there's no gesture to even he's
talk. There's no talk singing ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no gesture at rap.
Yeah.
It has some hip hop trap beats,
Yeah.
but a lot of it's more of
Yeah.
a pop
Yeah.
flavored record. So that's what I was trying to say. I was like, this
Yeah.
it's not really it seems like it's trending away from
Yeah.
the hip
I
hop.
saw so many reviews being like, Post Malone, the rapper, and I'm like, this dude has literally never rapped a word in his life. He's always sung. He's a singer.
Yeah, he's done
It's hip hop music, but he's a singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does a lot of I like his use of auto-tune in an interesting way. He kind of gives you that wiggle.
Yeah, whatever they put in the algorithm to do his vocals, it's interesting that it keeps that bleeding bleating like a goat.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
very
to be
good,
honest,
very
because
good.
he does
Yeah.
do that. It's
It's-
part of his
well,
vocal.
let's talk
characteristic.
about where that
Hey,
hits.
I can't even do
Goat
it.
Malone.
Where it hits hardest is that song Lemon
Lemon
Tree,
Tree,
which
yeah.
is
It's my favorite song on the record.
mine as well. I think
Yeah, same
it's
here.
it's the most interesting. The way he phrases better with the auto tune
Better.
is that's
you.
literally
A master impressionist. Wow.
Thank you.
That's literally like what that is. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting though. It gives it like texture and flavor. Which I kind of like. At first, I was like, "Oh, come on, man! I hate the way you phrase that." But then the third time, you're like, "All right, it's good."
Yeah.
I also like noted. I was like, this album kind of feels like, for me, like the way like Stained was huge and popular for their like
Sure, yeah.
depressive,
Post Malone, the
depressive
Aaron
kind of
Lewis
lyrics
of
and
pop music.
reflective, like kind of thing. I was like, is Post Malone the modern Aaron Lewis? Like, because that was like a big record at that time, at least for like in the rock
Yeah.
world, and then like Post Malone now. Also, I thought Lemon Tree was more of like a rocky oriented song. I know it like turns into a pop song more at the end, but like
Yeah.
the guitar is there, and you could tell he wrote it on the guitar. You know, so like that whole flavor was interesting.
Yeah, and Post Malone, he can play guitar. Like, he does know how to play guitar. There's a good YouTube video of him at Norman's Rare Guitars where he's, like, playing an SG. And that was the first time I saw it, and I'm like, what the fuck is Post Malone doing at Norman's Rare Guitars? And I was like, oh, he knows how to play guitar.
He also did the set of Nirvana songs during the pandemic, which was really good.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's how he got his start. Was singer, songwriting, strummy, hip hop adjacent folk music, which I think is his lane. And if we're to jump ahead, the last track on this album is like a demo voice note of the song Euthanasia that's in the middle of the album. And me personally, like, I would love if he made an album of just his folk stuff, just singing without all. I think the way he has vocal effects on his stuff, he uses it very well because it's not like his voice goes into the filter and then the filter is doing all the work. It's like the filter that they do just sculpts what he does and strengthens it. But I enjoyed that voice note at the end, and if he made an album of that, I would really enjoy that because the rest of the album, I'm going to say it's well made. It's pleasant, but that in a way, like, what does pleasant mean? Because like, Post Malone's music is like the jacuzzi of music for me. Like, it's never where I go, ugh. But it's also it's rarely when I go, oh shit, I'm really into this.
Yeah.
I'm really into a couple of his songs, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
For me, like the
this.
the hard like self-critical negativity on it over like the like slow hip hop beats is like, for me it works like best on like that Lemon Tree song, but even that's like it's a bit like affronting, and then like the rest of it you're like it gets to be like kind of like a lot. And then I found myself really loving him on the happy kind of fun tunes that were like jaunty and kind of went right through. The one with Doja Cat, which was
I Like You.
I Like You. That song, it's simple. It's a great pop song. It's got a great hook. I was singing it all afternoon, even though I didn't want to. I liked it on that because it seemed like he was having fun. The rest of the album, where he's like really kind of like soul searching, it doesn't work for me as well. Like you were saying, over the hip hop beats, where I feel like if he was like more soul searching over a guitar and a like rock banded format, I feel like that would work better for him to emote those kind of hard edged feelings. Because over like the dance beats, they sound just a bit like kind of hollowed after like kind of the same sentiment gets said a couple times, and the flavor doesn't seem to change that much. On that note, though, I did like the Love Hate Letter to Alcohol. I didn't love that song per se. I didn't think it was like the best song in the record, but
The concept.
the content of the song was interesting and also self-reflective in a more positive way than maybe some of his other songs, where like even on the first song, Reputation, where he's like, I was born to do drugs, I was born to fuck up, I was born to do hoes, all this shit. Where like Love Letter to Alcohol was more of like an open kind of thing, where it reminded me more of like Mac Miller's 2009. Again, 2009 I feel like is a way super executed song, where I don't really think that's of the same caliber, but of the same thing. Like it's getting there. So
Yeah, I liked
I
Wrapped Around Your
appreciated-
Finger. That was a good tune.
You know why you like that song? because it's exactly the same song as his earlier hit "Circles." Run away, run away. Da, da, da,
all right. Because I was listening.
It's literally the same melody. I got to the chorus. I'm like, this is the same song.
Yeah, because I was listening to
and
that
I listened
song.
to Circles. It's like a half step sharper.
Yeah.
And it's the same speed. And
there was a couple of moments on this record where I listened to it and I thought to myself, like, I know I've never heard this album before. But I feel like I've heard every song on this already. Like it was this thing, and it was that sentiment was reaffirmed because we listened to it this morning. Like I got up, we made coffee, and we were just kind of like sitting down, hanging out. And I was like, I want to give this one more listen through before we do the podcast tonight. And Jade said the same thing. She's like, "Oh, I know this song," and I'm like, "It's impossible for you to know this song. Like this song came out 3 days ago. There's no way." And she's like, "No, but I feel like I know this song," and I'm like. I thought the same thing when I listened to this album. It's not every song, but there's quite a few. Even like I like you, I do. It's like it's got that.
It's
thing.
almost the same hook as like a million other songs, but it's not the million other songs.
Right.
Because that one sounds like. Even when I'm with my boo, it's just slowed. It's I like you, I do. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just I was like, I knew
it's sing-songy. It's vibe music. It's
definitely vibe music.
So what do you think?
It's very atmospheric. It's very like 2010 Drake type of ambient and keyboard, lots of keyboards, lots of just atmosphere and like textures that are just like.
When do you listen to this? When do you listen to this album? Is this a night album, morning album, afternoon album?
Night album.
Night, right?
Yeah. This is like
like a hot summer night. I feel like this is because it's coming out now. It's in June.
Yeah. I don't know though. I think
this is 8 p.m. or later.
See, for me, like the content of this record is way too heavy. This is like you're like. I don't want to say this, but it's like you're getting drunk or you're like getting kind of fucked up or faded. Like that's this record because it's got all those like. I party too much.
The bad guys are the good guys type of stuff.
Well, it says it in that line. He's like,
thing.
In all the movies, I root for the bad guy.
That line.
So it's. Yeah, but for me, it's like the getting faded record. Whenever you're getting faded, if you're getting faded at 8 in the morning, you play. If you're getting faded at 8 at night, play. I don't care. It's up to you.
He's getting faded at 8 a.m. Don't get it twisted.
I don't know. I like his persona. I like his public image. I like his like. I'm a nice. Polite gentleman and I speak well and I don't know. So he might be a party guy. He might be a reformed party guy. I don't know. The music it's very background music to me because like you could put this on and you could play Post Malone stuff on a loop for 8 hours and it would kind of mean nothing to me. It would not offend me in any way. And there'd be spikes of like Sunflower or Circles or, songs like that would go, oh yeah, I really like this song.
Yeah.
Oh, cool melody. And his voice I think his voice sounds good. I think he does the effects process thing as well as maybe anybody has who like relies on that heavily to like make their sound is like so ingrained with you could simply say auto-tune. It's not as simple as auto-tune, but I'm looking forward to him maybe stepping away from like I'm a global superstar who makes music that the algorithm will enjoy and like these songs kind of all sound the same, so in a way all the kids who listen to this stuff are going to play the shit out of this whole record and he'll have 10 songs on this album will be in the top 20 of the online charts, but if he makes some more creative leaps I would enjoy seeing that.
The 2 tracks I feel on the record, Lemon Tree and Euthanasia, I feel like those were the standouts. If you were to step out with that idea, I feel like those were like the most creative, even though like they were both like kind of like downer bummer songs, in content. But like I feel like that is like structurally, musically, they were the best written songs on the record. So I've hoping that it kind of leans towards that way, like you were saying, and it's less algorithm-y.
And I think he could because his fans understand that he did come from being a 17-year-old kid strumming an acoustic guitar and singing these songs, but just with acoustic guitar. I hope he does that someday. I hope he makes an album of kind of rootsier, go with Don Was or Rick Rubin or something and make a rootsy, because he can still sing the same fucking songs. And he can still pepper in some drum machines and pepper in some keyboards.
The thing, too, is, like, you could still make the pop album if you want to, but, like, I would buy, like, a Post Malone rock. I'd be interested to hear a Post Malone rock record.
Yeah, because he's a folk singer who is just singing in 2022.
Yeah.
And using the
the
stuff
modern
that you
media,
make,
medium.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So right on. Yeah. Tell us what you think. Did you enjoy it?
I'm giving this a number ranking of it's fine, 5.5.
5.5. You're gonna go 5.5.
Because I want to say 5, but it's well made, so I would say 6. So I'll split the difference and say 5.5.
Okay, I'll give it a strong 6. I'm
gonna give it. I think Jeff's right. 5.5 for me. Because I was gonna give it a 6, but I'm like, I'm not. I know I'm not gonna re-listen to it. And like, if like I'm at somewhere and I'm like the vibe now is like I'll throw on like I Like You, like that song. If it was like a poppy vibe, I'd throw that on somewhere because it's like pleasing. But like Jeff said, it's innocuous.
It's background.
Yeah, it's background, and that's not a bad. That's. I mean, I think we
It's
plead
good
the
background music.
right.
good.
I think we plead the case for like because background music might have like some negative connotations, but when we talk about it, we don't mean it in that way.
Like this. His music has been playing the entire time we've been talking, and in a way, I kind of don't realize it's happening.
Yeah, right.
Meaning, I don't want to be like, yo, can you turn this fucking thing
or
off?
Right.
you
Like,
never, or you didn't realize the song had changed.
Right. It's fine.
That's the other thing, which is it's fine, like you said. So it's 5. None of these songs in this record were bad or produced in like or annoying. They weren't like challenging in any way.
Yeah.
It's a good record, but yeah. So
and it's also like, it's not for me. This is for 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
It is.
That's the thing too. I thought about that coming into this episode. I knew we were going to talk about this and listening to this album and everything. And like, similarly, like when we talked about the Harry Styles record, it's 3 30-year-olds, 30-something-year-olds talking about music that's not necessarily made for us. And, and us just trying to like figure it out and find ways to connect to it and all that stuff. And
I might be Post Malone's age.
Do you think
He's
so?
26, I think.
Is he? He's 26? He looks terrible.
Well, I mean, it's whole,
He is 26, dude. I thought he was like 30. I thought he was my age. I thought he was like
he
29.
looks terrible.
He doesn't look good.
He has so many tattoos, I can't really tell what he looks like, though.
That's the thing. Yeah.
I don't know.
Before we leave
He
this-
looks better now than he did when he was 19. He made like this song White Iverson, I think he was 19, and I say this with all love and respect to him and the people I'm about to compare it to. He looked like a straight up homeless person for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And now at least he has money and like a public image, and he like kind of like
dresses in
tries
nice
to look
suits
like an
now.
adult now.
Yeah.
He does. He was in a nice suit for SNL.
He wears like nudie suits and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's an old time cowboy in the 1960s. I like it. I'm into it.
He
old
shouted out
prospector.
his sponsor, Bud Light, in one of the
Right.
songs too. He's like, I don't want that. I want Bud Light,
Right.
which I also thought was like, good on him for getting that Bud Light money. He's
Yeah.
like, he was drinking them on Rogan. He was just like, yeah.
Yeah. Who would I like to? I would like to see him, like, make be yourself, but make it like a sad cowboy record. Like,
That's-
Give us the sad cowboy.
like instead of ambient synthesizers, like do some fucking pedal steel, because you know what? At the end of the day, it kind of fucking sounds the same.
And you can make
It's
pedal
just-
steel sound psychedelic.
Right,
Look at Pink
that's what I
Floyd.
mean.
You know what I mean?
You just
can
like-
still.
Even like Lemon Tree, if it was a
You can make
if
some
a
like
country
tambourine.
it'd be way more.
And it'll sound like a club beat. Like it's
And Lemon Tree would be like a way more interesting song if it was a
Yeah.
country song. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think.
so. I think that's. I give it two albums down the line. I think he'll start to go that route because he's riding the wave of like just mass popularity right now, which is cool, man. Do your thing, make the music that they're eating up, and he's really proud of this. And you should be proud of this album. I think this is his most consistently good album of his
like
of his
front to back.
albums. Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. Let us know what you think. What's your ranking? All right, moving on. Now, some people want to get into, say, collecting records, and it can seem a little bit, daunting at first, right? I mean, if you go on YouTube or you go on anything like, you watch these YouTube videos and stuff, and it can sometimes seem like it's this like elitist kind of thing. You have the audio files, and then like there's a million turntables and a million different setups and a million different, whatever, and then the actual purchasing of the records. So we thought that we would do a reoccurring segment where Luke talks to us and, on the topic of maybe like an introduction to collecting vinyl records.
Yeah. So we're
Because
not.
this is not a green screen. This
is real.
This is
Yeah,
one.
this is very real.
This is one half of Luke's record collection.
One half.
One half. This is like
A
this is like a
third.
third, yeah.
Well,
'Cause we
you can't-
still have some here, and then there's
And
two
there's-
more upstairs.
No, that's just one shelf.
Look at this. Look at this pile over
Yeah,
here.
you don't see behind the camera the stacks of records that are just kind of miscellaneously placed everywhere.
That's what I don't need.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But yeah, so we're not really gonna get into like gear today, but like I wanted to talk about like if this is your job and you're gonna go to the record store, you might want to be armed with a little bit of knowledge. So I will give you some quick visual knowledge. There's a great website called discogs.com where you can enter the matrix number of any single album ever produced or released, and it will give you every single.
The Matrix?
Yeah. It'll give you every single album, the pressing of your album. You could find it. So, and you figure out when it was made. But I'm gonna give you some quick like visual tips today, so we can at least get some of that down. So, I'm gonna choose a artist today that everybody knows. We're gonna be talking Bob Dylan, a Columbia Records artist. And we're gonna be taking the album Nashville Skyline here. I don't know how
Post Malone's grandfather.
It kind of looks like it, right? So I wanted to show people. This would be an original pressing of Bob Dylan's Nashville Skyline. This is what you would call a Columbia 2i press. Obviously, it's Columbia Records, and I have it backwards on this one, but here we go. It's a 2i because it has the 212 logo on there, the Columbia record logo. So that's that. That's how you know it's an original press. These labels were made in the 60s, so you would have these from like the early, probably like 62, 63 to about 69 to 70, where they would start phasing those out, probably more around 1970. So that would be an original pressing of that, and then that would be probably hold a more premium value for you at a record store. So like,
what would you be looking at for a record, like price range for something like that? You're talking like the 15, 20,
it
25?
depends on what the condition is. Like Nashville Skyline in a good shape, original press can kind of get like anywhere, I think, from like 10 to like $20 nowadays.
Okay.
Probably
but
like
still fairly affordable though. You know what I mean? 10 to $20 for an original press. That's not bad.
not too bad. And then here I'm going to show you what would be an example of a 70s repress of this album. So this is Bob Dylan's Nashville Skyline again, and this would be the Columbia 70s label. You would note that it is completely red with yellow Columbia lettering around the whole record, and it has little logos in between there. But this would be like a no-I capital pressing. And this would be a 70s repress. So anything that came out in the 60s that has this logo on it, this label, repress. So that's like a pretty basic knowledge, but just armed with that skill alone in a record store can really like get you, or even if you're at a garage sale, will really get you going a long way.
And quickly too, just for the novice listener, right? So when we're talking about like what does repress actually mean, right? You have the master of the record that is like basically carved into, what is it, steel or I'm not quite sure, but they're basically these plates where the record gets pressed. So when you hear a pressing, it's a literal term. It's pressed. The vinyl is pressed in between these plates, and then the grooves are imprinted on the vinyl itself, and that's what creates it.
A first press would be a cleaner use of those pressings.
Right.
A later press might be, deteriorated to some extent. It might be like the same, the sampers they used in the 60s. It might not be as good. In some cases, though, it might be a little bit better. It all depends. But most of the time, you really kind of, if you're into it, a 60s press might sound better. But there's a lot of great 70s presses, too. I'm saying if this is your deal, so now we're getting like in the nitty-gritty of it all. If your deal is you just want to listen to records, a 70s repress of like anything really is fine and great. It does me well. I usually get them because they're cheaper, and I don't really care what pressing it is. So it's all on what you want to do. You could really create your collection the entire way. If you're like, I want all original pressings, it's a tougher hunt. If you just want to round out your collection with the best releases, represses are a great thing. And then even to like a modern day repress, this is the Damned's Damned. An original pressing of this is very expensive and something I could not really afford in my collecting habits. So this would be like a modern day repress of a older album. This would have been released, I think, in 77.
Yeah.
So
Also, it's important to note as well that repress and remaster, very different things. Repress doesn't necessarily mean remastered.
No, remastered would mean that the audio would be messed with on some level to sound new and redone.
A little more
Jeff,
polished.
you enjoying your vinyl sleeving over there? One of the hardest acts in all collecting.
I was just making sure the 60s one was in the one labeled 60s.
I went through the whole shelf upstairs and marked all my doubles, if they were 60s or 70s and what press they were.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they make modern things too. So if you can't find something older and you're like, I need a copy of this, you can look to and see if they have made it back into print. So I'm saying reprint though means it was out of print, not currently available in stock. And they reprinted it so it would be back in stock.
Right. Can you just give us a little thing, because you are more of the vinyl aficionado here and all that. When we saw a resurgence of vinyl record collecting, which happened probably maybe like 2013, 2014, record store days kind of started happening, all that stuff kind of getting set into motion. You saw a lot of 180 gram labeled repress albums and stuff like that. Is there any grounds to that?
To know that my friend Noble Records, check him out on YouTube as well and Instagram. He has a shop in North Carolina, I believe. I was shocked to learn 180 gram really doesn't do anything. That 70s like Oil Crisis thin flimsy vinyl, there's a lot of that. Even a lot of those don't really sound too bad. Thicker, I guess it doesn't really do much. I guess to deterioration over the years. It might last a bit longer. If it's thinner, it might be more apt, but
because a regular record is probably, like 120 grams?
Like 100. I think they make them like 120, 130. I think it depends on the pressing plant that makes them. I have ones that are like, you can go, whoop, 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 and they sound just as good as 180 gram. It really doesn't.
It's more so longevity than it is actual sound
I
difference.
would say so in the weight of the record, but I don't even think, even to that, it's even... what really matters is the pressing. I was pressing
the grooves, the actual grooves, and not the record possibly warping.
And how it's mastered. The mastering of a vinyl record is like you know what I mean? So you don't want it to be distorted or too loud
or too quiet, and then you play on your system and you hear the whole time you're playing.
Yeah.
So,
do you think it's kind of like a gimmicky thing, like the fact that
it's like it's just like the industry standard. They write 180 gram, and they're not even 180 gram. They're like 130 gram. You just write it on there because it sounds nice. It's it's like what everybody wants. It's the Egyptian. It's like the thread count and sheets kind of shit. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
I also just want to note too, like I gave you one label example. There's like many more in label variations, but like that's just like just a simple one that you can like look at and see. There's a million record labels, so every variation of that. So
now you have some Beatles ones to compare.
Yeah, I wanted to show some different Beatles records too, because I'm obviously like they're probably
because there's UK pressings, there's American.
Yeah, and the Beatles are the most popular, and a lot of people are into them. So I thought we'd go through some of that here.
Practice more.
I don't. Okay, so this Beatles album we have. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, released in 1967. The original pressing of that album, which I have right here, or a original-ish earlier pressing, would have been... Okay, so I have a Apple Records. I don't even know which one's the original. I don't know if it originally came out on Apple in America or if it came out on... Capitol, which I would believe this album would have came out on Capitol Records, as Apple Records wasn't started until 1968. So
correct,
White Album. So this is actually a repress of Sgt. Pepper. So we have a Apple label. The original would be a Capitol Rainbow Band. It's a Capitol Records, and it would have a rainbow all around it. So this would this is even a 60s repress of Sgt. Pepper's. So Apple label right there, and then if you pass, nope, I have it right here. You want to slide that back into there? There you go. All right, so and then also right here we have a Capitol purple label, which is from the late 70s. So this is even older. So even to note, like the Capitol purples, like you have right here, I have a couple of these Beatles records on Capitol Purple labels. They sound amazing. They are great pressings, and they're usually very cheap. So that would be like something like I would shout out. I always like the Beatles records on Capitol Purples. They're from the later 70s, but for some reason, the quality of the records and the pressings of them, they're just really, really good.
Yeah.
I would suggest them even over an Apple label pressing, in my
Really?
opinion. Yeah, I
Because
think
the Apple ones their shit was just getting off the ground when they were repressing these on Apple.
I think too in like the later 70s, I think Capitol just had better relations with the manufacturers around the
Right, that's what I
country.
mean.
Yeah, and it just comes out a more solid product. So that's that kind of deal.
Ooh, difference on these.
Yes, and you can
Possible difference.
definitely
One
you
is
could-
marked stereo.
which would be the 60s one, and then it's implied that it's stereo on the later 70s pressing. Right. So,
Interesting.
Implications.
yes. And then I also wanted to get down to like what the Beatles albums in before Sgt. Pepper's came out, what happened to them in America. So we have a bunch of hodgepodge Beatles albums that were made specifically for the American market before Sgt. Pepper's came out, and they wanted to be an album band. We would get chopped up versions of all the Beatles albums. So this is a chopped up Rubber Soul. This is a U.S. Rubber Soul, as you would really call it. It starts with I Just Seen Her Face, a song from the Help album. And it kind of went for a even more overtly like folk rock feel on the American release. You can also tell it says new improved full dimensional stereo. That's definitely a project of the 60s. Those really didn't come out later, those kind of logos. And then again, you're going to see that we have a Beatles Apple Records record label. So this would be a later, after like 1968 pressing of this. So probably like to 1970.
Yeah.
It's just like an interesting thing to note. And again, this would come out originally on a Capitol Purple Rainbow label.
It's interesting that they because if that's on Apple, right, then that happened later.
Yep.
That they would still could because really the Beatles owned Apple. So they would have repressed that and then released it. Like, why didn't they, since it was on their label and then they had the control over it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't they have? Why would they make it on the U.S. track listing?
It's just it's a vanity label at that. So like any new release from the Beatles would be a fully immersive thing, but that's already like contracted. It's like a vanity label. So anything. So anything,
more like a contractual obligation to keep the track listing.
Yes,
to the original
I
US.
would believe so.
Gotcha.
And even at that point too, a lot of Americans those because that's what they grew up with. So.
Oh right, so yeah,
So-
you're like some
so-
dude living in Milwaukee, and you're like, why the fuck is this new Rubber Soul? What the first Rubber
Right,
Soul's
so
got the wrong songs
in
on
America, nobody had
Yeah.
correct Beatles records until the 80s when CDs came out, and they decided that the catalog from the UK was the catalog, which it always was.
Yeah.
And we got rid of these like US things, so these are only like a relic of record collectors and people that grew up with them. So
Gotcha.
nobody really knows that. And I also just wanted to shout out. I have a brand new, probably like 10 years ago now, pressing of Rubber Soul. This is a repress, which would have been the original UK pressing.
Now, is that mono or stereo?
This is a stereo press, and I just want to show this has what would be the original label on there as well. This would be what all Beatles UK records would be on up until the White Album when they would create their own record label. But everything else beforehand would be a Parlophone label, and that's what that looks like right here. There, it's upright right there to the camera.
Yeah.
And that's just another kind of interesting aspect. This would be what the originals look like, and then that. And then I wanted to show like what original before Apple Records was created. This is a Capitol Rainbow record label. This would be like I said, everything before the White Album, and that's what every Beatles record would have been released on, the Capitol
US
Records,
release.
US
Yep.
in America.
Yep.
And to that, I even pulled out the most butchery of the covers of those records is the Butcher record. This isn't an original by any state. This is a definite repress of that
What's
record.
it called? And the Beatles.
No,
We are the Beatles.
Yesterday and today.
Okay.
You could tell. So an original Butcher cover, which you may know is like a vinyl thing. The Beatles posed with a bunch of raw meat in butcher suits. Or like butcher's aprons, and then was covered in blood. It was like pretty graphic picture, and that was going to be the name of it. That's why I refer to all the Beatles Americans albums as Butchered, because of that. It was kind of a play on that. So what they did is they took all of those, they released them to the market, the press went nuts, and then they took them all back and pasted this cover over it. And then you could take them off and peel them. You could see, usually sitting by Ringo, you could see his turtleneck underneath from the other picture. You could tell this is a repress because it says gold record. A gold record would have had to have sold 500,000 copies in the United States to achieve that status. Therefore, you know this is most definitely not a first press.
It's a good telltale, yeah.
Anything with that gold record label thing on it, obviously it already sold and made gold, so it's not original. So another helpful hip. I can't talk. Another tip.
Yeah. And then just a reminder, too, like, that's the thing, man, is, and I think people are more hip to it now, that this sort of vinyl record resurgence has kind of, you know, we're, you know, at least 10 years into it at this point. I think 8 to 10 years into it. You know, you don't have to go to big box stores to buy records. Like, get down on your knees and thumb through some moldy old records and stuff, because like you can find. I mean, like shout out to Mystic Disc.
Like again, too, like I play records that are playable. Like that Beatles record, like the back of it is like rotted off, but the record sounds good and it doesn't skip, and it's not super noisy, so I keep it in my collection, and that's my copy until another one comes along that's nicer. I'm definitely not a snob. Some people are like record snobs. So they got to be like stupid clean. Like even I'm looking behind Jeff right now. There's one that looks like it's like about scratched by a cat. Like and for me, whatever it is, it's a good enough copy. It's Venus and Mars by Paul McCartney and Wings. But like it looks like it's been eaten by a cat. I got that record for free. It plays all the way through. So my friend George Bruderman, Feel Feelings podcast on the Wasted Robot Network. Check it out. He gave me that record for free. So it's like it is what it is. That's a copy of Exile we were talking about last week is destroyed.
Yeah.
But like,
don't be afraid of chewed up album covers as long as the record itself is good and it plays well. Like that's always been my motto.
And to note on that too, I just like brought up on the table here like a record vacuum. This is a more expensive item, but like record cleaner is like pretty cheap, and you can really get a lot of scrubbing out with like a nice little record scrub. So it's it's not out of your possibility to get into records. There's plenty at the flea market.
The real Beatles
and the
monkeys.
And like shout out to our local record store, Mystic Disc. Dan, the man down at Mystic Disc.
The Telegraph in New London.
Yeah,
it's like there's plenty of places around.
Yeah, support your local places, and a lot of those local places. I know Dan for sure. I'm not sure about the Telegraph. But Dan at Mystic Disc in Mystic, Connecticut, for sure cleans every single record. And if he thinks that it hasn't been cleaned, and you go to buy that record, he's like, "Oh, I'll just clean it real quick for you too." You know, so if you find yourself a good trusted record store, chances are they take pride in their albums that they sell. And I mean, I've had Dan clean dollar bin records for me before. And throw in a plastic sleeve.
Customer service, man.
Yeah, so you don't have to go to these big bloated box stores and and pay an arm and a leg for 180 gram repress that's an exclusive. No, you don't have to do that, man. You can buy an album for like $10 that plays just as good.
Absolutely. Before we leave for today, I just want to also note, like, some people really just like doing this too and getting records because they're fun and colorful. This one is a fun colored record. A product of modern vinyl mostly now. There are colored records from back in the day, but colored records really started with like Sub Pop records in the early 90s and limited colored releases. And that's really what we have today. I just pulled out an OC's record that was colored. And some people just collect colored vinyl. So
Yeah.
that's all they do.
Wow.
If it's a fun special press, they buy it and they like the band. They might not even have a record player. It just becomes kind of like a souvenir for them in the modern day. I would say listen to all your vinyl. We'll be back with like another gear edition where we can like talk about like some entry level stuff to get started.
Yeah, some
but
turntables.
But yeah,
all that kind of
let's
stuff.
a quick little intro. If you have a question about record collecting, or like anything gear, what do you think I should be doing for this? I'm not the most knowledgeable audiophile out there, but I'm more of a practical guy that will get you something that will not ruin your records and you'll be satisfied with. So
Yeah. Tell what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Julius Spins Records.
Julius Spins Records, yes. And then feel free to drop a comment below, too, if you have any sort of questions. You can email us at getinthegaragepodcast@gmail.com. So, yeah, until next time, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Awaken the primordial algorithm.
Tell your
Summon
friends.
the beast. Tell your friends. Yeah, share. If you can share, we really, really greatly appreciate it.
And subscribe on YouTube.
And subscribe on YouTube. It helps us a bunch. Also, quick reminder, we're now on video is available on Spotify, so feel free to check us out there. If you've also got Spotify, until next time, this has been Get in the Garage.
Love one another.
Have a good week of school.
Bye-bye.
This has been a presentation from the Wasted Robot Network. For more information and links to other shows, please visit www.wastedrobotrecords.com/podcasts.